Thanks everyone for joining. This is our 7th webinar here at TalentBin called Step into the Portal. Today I'll be going into our support site and giving you kind of the lay of the land. My name's Brendan. I'm a product specialist here at TalentBin, but I'm also the manager of the support portal and anything content related on the site. While this might not seem like one of the most exciting or captivating topics to do a webinar on, I can assure you that this is going to introduce you to one of our most valuable resources here at TalentBin, something we pour countless hours into. Not only will we have guides like you would find on a normal support site, but we'll have recruiting strategies, best practices, videos, even GIFs that will kind of guide you along to make you a great TalentBin user and ultimately lead you to make countless placements using the tool. So let's begin. So here's our agenda for today. First, we'll start out by just going over where is the support portal? Where is it located? How do we get there? Understandably, many users struggle to find the support site. It's kind of buried away on the TalentBin site, so we'll point you in the right direction there. Then we'll kind of give you a lay of the land, basic overview of what we can find on the support portal. And then we'll actually dive in to the support site and I'll take you through some of our most popular articles, some of the articles that are kind of buried away deep, but still are very, very valuable in terms of best practices, recruiting strategies, guides to using features. And then we'll cover our TalentBin Q&A, which is a new feature we've turned on the TalentBin site, which is essentially a forum for public questions and answers that will kind of be a community source database of answers that you can go to before you go to a product specialist for those answers. And then we'll leave the floor open and you guys can ask me any questions you want. So where do we find the support portal? Well, you can either type in support.talentbin.com or you'll notice a little support tab on the left-hand side of any page in TalentBin. It's kind of hidden away over there. I'll give you guys a second to either type in support.talentbin.com or you can go over and hit that tab on the TalentBin site. I'll give you guys about 15 seconds to do that, and I want you all to bookmark the page. Don't worry, I'll wait. Okay, now that you've all bookmarked the TalentBin support portal, let's go over what we can find and give you a basic lay of the land on the support site. Well, we have over 170 articles. These include things like our step-by-step guides, tutorials that you would find on basically any support site out there. Ours are going to give you a more in-depth look at any feature, any tool. If you have questions about setting up a folder, setting up email integration, anything along those lines, you'll find those guides in our support site. If you don't want to take the time to read through a long step-by-step guide, we do have videos as well for most of those features that you can just quickly watch and gives you the exact same information. One of the most valuable resources we have on the support site and what kind of separates our support site from many other support portals out there is our recruiting advice, what we've branded as TalentBin University. My colleague TJ has a heavy hand in building the content for this. You'll find things like posts about best practices in terms of outreach or following up. We'll have some success stories on there. Definitely going to be a great resource, and we'll go through it all today. And then new features and announcements. We are a very agile company here at TalentBin. We tend to throw out a lot of new features. I think we've had about 5 in the last 2 months here. So anytime a new feature is released, we'll have a guide, a video that will kind of guide you along through setting that up. Announcements along the same lines. If we have any user interface changes, anything, maybe we win an award and we kind of want to toot our own horn a little bit, we'll throw that in the announcements section. Our FAQs are definitely going to be a great resource as well when you get started with the tool. It's pretty self-explanatory. We've kind of compiled a list of common questions that we hear and provide those answers to those questions. Troubleshooting, again, pretty self-explanatory. We'll have information about login issues, password issues, that sort of thing. And our public Q&A, which I've already touched on, definitely going to be a great resource for you moving forward. So these are the topics. I kind of wanted to just show you a year ago, the TalentBin support site was basically just a number that you could call and a couple of quick and easy getting started guides. So this kind of just gives you an idea of how much we've expanded the support portal. We've had information about every one of these individual topics and plenty of articles to go along with them. So now that I've kind of given you the overview of the support portal, I think it's time to actually dive in and start the tour. Perfect. So here I am logged into my TalentBin account. Again, I can just hit the little support tab on the left-hand side of the page here to go over to the support portal. So let's start by just kind of covering the layout of the support site. We'll have our search bar up here, definitely a great tool. All SEO kind of keywords embedded in our search bar. So let's say you're looking for information about folders, type in folders, you can see that we'll have a bunch of different articles about that. Maybe email integration guide here. So pretty self-explanatory. Search bar definitely going to be your best friend as you navigate the support site. You'll see our Contact Us section over here on the right-hand side with our TalentBin Q&A, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but you'll have links to email us at support.talentbin.com. Here's a number that you can call our customer success team. If we click into this, and this kind of just gives us all of the emails. So in case you want to reach out to your specific product specialist, you'll have that information here and a picture to see, put a face to a name. Moving on, we have our TalentBin blog, which I'll touch on a little bit later. You can submit a feature request through this link here, or you can log back into TalentBin through that link. You can also browse our articles by topic down here. So I'll start with announcements up here in the top. So this is what I was talking about with anytime there's a user interface change, something slightly different. Some of you may have noticed that our composed message screen changed last week. We actually now throw in skills, web profiles, all of that information into the composed message screen. So you can read about that here. Things like our template variables. Any user interface change essentially is going to be on this announcement section. Also, if I click into view all articles, we'll see things like when TalentBin won an award, things like that when we want to toot our own horn. New features, kind of along the same lines. We can see since April, we've actually had 6 new features built into the product. So all of those new features are going to need some level of documentation, some level of step-by-step guide to help you get going with the feature. I'll click into one of these, our guided campaign, which came out in June. You'll have a video here that will walk you through setting up the guided campaign, a step-by-step guide, information about why you should use the guided campaign, things to note, and then see also. So very important 2 sections, maybe to keep tabs on constantly, since we are constantly evolving and adding new features into the product. Moving on, we'll go to our TalentBin University section here. This is what I was talking about in terms of recruiting strategies, things of that nature. Up at the top here, in case you missed Lauren's user certification program webinar that she did earlier or last month, you can click into this user certification program article, and it gives you all the information you need to take and pass the exam. Again, just a basic overview of what this certification program is. It's an exam you can take as many times as you want. You need 85% to pass the exam. At that point, we will give you a LinkedIn badge that you can place on your LinkedIn. We'll send you a medal in the mail, and your product specialist will write you a recommendation on LinkedIn as well. So definitely worth the time, kind of test your knowledge and make sure that you know everything there is to know about the basics of TalentBin. So you can find all that information here under TalentBin University. Self-Start Video Guide. This is a great resource for both new and current users. Basically a recorded kickoff call by our 30-day team. So you can watch the whole video if you're starting out fresh, or if you're confused about maybe a single topic, maybe you want to learn how to update your templates, maybe you want to have a little bit more information about staging or kind of messaging automation. You can click any one of these links. We'll do it now. I'll click updating recruiter information. That will take you over to our YouTube page and that specific point in the video. Definitely a great resource, as I mentioned. And then we kind of move on. We have 3 articles here by my colleague TJ, all about recruiting best practices. We'll start up here at the top with Secret Sauce Personalized Candidate Outreach. One of our most viewed articles, definitely going to be a valuable resource. This article touches on something we stress a lot here at TalentBin, which is personalizing your initial outreach message to the candidate using TalentBin data. So using professional skills, using where we're pulling that information back from. So saying things like, I noticed your Java repository on GitHub. I noticed the questions you were asking about Python on Stack Overflow. Those things are going to really separate your outreach email from the rest of the emails that technical talent gets on a daily basis here. So he gives you an example here of a software developer's inbox with all of kind of the subject lines that are typically used when people make an outreach email. So you can see they're all on the same lines: urgent, requirement. It's not really separating their email from the rest of the emails that they get. So you can see a lot of our users kind of stick to these subject lines. Our best users, however, the ones who are actually moving forward with candidates, making placements, they tend to use this TalentBin data to the best of their ability. TJ gives you this chart where he kind of gives you examples of what subject lines can look like to really kind of drive response rates. So we see things like, hey Rodrigo, I checked out your repos on GitHub, repositories on GitHub, some real gems. So what I was mentioning before, using professional skill data and a web profile. So he gives you a bunch of examples here. So definitely going to be an article worth checking out as you get started with the tool. I'll hit back here and move on. Persistence Pays, article TJ just put together about following up with candidates. We make this really easy with our automated follow-up campaign, but kind of driving on the importance of following up with candidates and driving those response rates up. Something we hear a lot is, why aren't candidates getting back to me? If we use both the suggestions in Secret Sauce, so that personalized candidate outreach, and you follow his suggestions here in Persistence Pays, I'm sure your response rates will get driven up significantly. One thing I will note is that you're going to see the articles up front in the Browse by Topics section. That doesn't mean that the articles buried deep are insignificant or irrelevant to your workflow. Sometimes you're going to have to click in and see the articles that aren't right up front for you. So there's definitely some very important articles here in TalentBin University that we would want to click into View All Articles to see. We have like TalentBin Keys to Success here, which gives you success behaviors, best practices, kind of a plan we've put together to kind of drive TalentBin success. We'll have recruiting success stories here. So this is kind of a compilation of actual user experiences. We've written out these success stories, done interviews with users in the past. So in case you're ever like, I don't feel like this tool is working for me, what am I doing wrong? You can come in here, read through some of these success stories to kind of give you a better idea of what some of our top users have done with the tool and kind of their best practices. Moving on, we have our web profile sourcing guides here. These were guides put together by our co-founder, Peter Kazanji, and they kind of give more information into how to use web profiles to source candidates. We do a lot of that work for you at TalentBin. We're going to pull in that information from the web profiles, but it's still incredibly valuable to know, how we can best use that data that we're pulling back from places like GitHub and Stack Overflow to the best of our abilities to assess the candidates and in our outreach messages. So these guides, definitely worth the read. We'll kind of give you that idea. I'll move on here. We have our webinars section. So this includes all of our past webinars. So in case you missed maybe Lauren's webinar about TalentBin certification or any of the webinars TJ has put together in the past about recruiting best practices, you can find all of those webinars here. If you don't want to take the time to watch one of the webinars, we actually just include the slide deck that you can go through and get just a better understanding of what was talked about in that webinar, just to save you some time. Getting started, the only thing I'll show you guys here is our Getting Started FAQ, just to give you a sense of what our FAQs look like. So we've compiled this list of questions from, we get these questions a lot, things like where are the resumes? People don't often know that TalentBin is a passive candidate recruitment tool, so they're wondering, why can't I get my resume information there? So they can come in here, get that information. Where are the resumes? TalentBin is a passive candidate recruitment tool. Unlike active recruitment tools, blah, 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 we're not adding resume data into TalentBin. So just a simple answer to kind of go through all of these questions here that we commonly get asked. I'll bypass dashboard, folders. Definitely going to be some good information there, but pretty specific about features that I don't think we need to touch on right now. So you'll find things like how to use a folder to the best of your ability, how to kind of make sense of the dashboard, that sort of thing. In source, though, we're definitely going to have some great articles worth covering here. Some of our consistently most viewed articles month to month are in the source section. Example TalentBin searches, current list of network types, current list of explode terms. I'll start up here at the top with example TalentBin searches. Essentially what this article allows you to do is kind of get the framework for any common TalentBin search out there. So let's say you're building a rec for a Java developer. We actually give you the framework for that rec. To give you a better sense of what I'm talking about, let's scroll down and kind of go through this article. So we'll see our wheelhouse technical searches up here. These are the ones that we typically see are the best fits in terms of the most data that we're pulling back for the rec. We'll also have non-wheelhouse technical searches, creative searches, healthcare searches, non-wheelhouse searches, that sort of thing. I'll start with wheelhouse technical searches here. And then, as I mentioned before, maybe we're building a Java developer search. So all I would have to do is a Python developer search. All I would have to do is find Python developer here, hit live TalentBin search, and that would populate a search tree directly into TalentBin that you can use as framework here. All you need to do at this point is maybe throw in a couple additional skills that you have on the rec by hitting add field here, throwing in some more skills. You might want to put in the location, hit United States, then throw in the postal code, that sort of thing. Available contact email is pre-selected for you. Again, that's going to be a best practice here when building a search. It's going to tell the system to only return the profiles that do have emails currently attached. So it kind of gives you the most efficient workflow to start out. And then you could just hit search. I put in the Bay Area, so we can see that that's going to only return people in the Bay Area here. If I go back to the article here, we can see what maybe an IT security role would look like if I clicked into this. So it gives you all of these keywords to kind of use as a jump start here. So there's a reason that this is one of the most viewed articles. People constantly come to us and say, how can I best build this search? What keywords should I use? You can get the framework here, and then we're more than happy to help as well here on the customer success team. But this will give you an idea. Moving on, I'll go to our current list of network types, web profiles here. Another great resource. People often ask us, I don't know what GitHub is. I don't know what Stack Overflow is. Can you let me know what that web profile is that you're pulling back information from? This is going to give you a list of all of the web profiles that we crawl in TalentBin. If you were to click one of these links here, maybe GitHub, it's going to give you some more information about that specific site. You can also click out to the site itself. But we have little descriptions about basically every website that we crawl here on this article. Moving on, current list of explode terms. This tends to be the most viewed article month to month by a significant margin. What this allows you to do is kind of get a sense for what explode terms are in TalentBin, which is always going to be a best practice to use. To kind of take a step back here, our explode terms are those terms that will include synonyms on the terms. So things like if you type in Java into the search, I'll give you an example here. I'll type in Java here. You'll see this yellow plus icon next to Java. It's going to include 21 related skills to Java. So it's going to save you time. You're not going to have to type out every single keyword in relation to Java there. It's all going to kind of build that out on an or Boolean string. So the explode terms are definitely going to be a valuable resource. They're going to save you a lot of time and kind of cast a wide net to kind of build out your searches. So I'll go back to our article here, and let's take a look at how to use this. I'll skip the introduction here and go down to the bottom where we have our specific explode terms tied to the verticals. So we have our technical creative explode terms article here, healthcare explode terms. We have company explode terms and miscellaneous explode terms. So things like diversity, security clearance, education, that sort of thing. I'll just take us into technical creative explode terms and how you would use this list. You can see it's a very long list of all of our explode terms and all of the synonyms that are attached to those words. Let's say we're looking for J2EE, for instance, in a rec. I'll type in J2EE. I'll hit Control F, search J2EE, and then I can see that J2EE is going to be within the Java explode term. So rather than just using the keyword J2EE in the search, which you can do if it's definitely a required skill that you must have to kind of cast a wider net, maybe use the Java explode term instead. Because that's going to pull back people that have experience in any one of these facets. Give you another example. Maybe you're looking for someone with REST. You can see that's under the web services explode term. So maybe use the web services explode term rather than just typing in REST. So that's another reason why this article is one of the most viewed articles month to month. Moving on, I'll go down to advanced sourcing here. Advanced sourcing is going to be deal more with best practices in terms of the search solutions to kind of challenging recs in TalentBin. Things like finding citizens or security clearances, finding cloud talent. Something we hear often is people have quick turnaround positions, so they're working on contrast roles. As we know, passive candidate recruitment tools are going to be a little bit more challenging for those type of positions because you don't have as much time to have a conversation, to follow up with candidates, that sort of thing. So let's take a dive into this article, which is definitely going to kind of walk through and go over some of our strategies we've seen be successful in terms of these short turnaround positions. So up here we have building a future opportunity pipeline. We have a video about that strategy that takes you through that, campaign timing. So this is just a list of strategies we've seen be successful with these sort of recs. So if you do work on these type of positions, this article definitely going to be a valuable one. But you'll find the same things with citizenship, security clearance. This is something we hear often. I need people with security clearance experience or that have security clearances. Again, that's tricky in a tool like TalentBin because people aren't technically supposed to put the security clearance information online for security reasons. So this kind of walks you through some of our strategies we've seen be successful using some explode terms maybe asking them in the outreach message if they have a security clearance, let them qualify themselves, that sort of thing. So advanced sourcing is going to have a lot of those kind of best practices, solutions to tricky situations. If I hit view all here, we also have like relocation solutions, diversity searches, that sort of thing. I'll skip manage candidate profile and go over to mailbox here. At the top of mailbox, we have our email integration guide. So one of the most crucial elements of being successful in TalentBin is going to be to integrate your email. Number of reasons for this. One, you get open and click tracking, so you're able to see when a candidate opens one of your messages or clicks a link within one of your messages. You're able to use our campaigns, so those automated follow-up campaigns that really help drive response rates, and automatic staging, which is going to save you a lot of time in the long run. But most of all, it just allows you to send and receive messages directly from TalentBin, makes things as efficient as possible in the tool. So this guide is going to walk you through the entire setup process, watch a short video maybe to kind of just get a background on email integration, then go over to our step-by-step guide. If you run into any errors, we have that as well. We also have an FAQ down here at the bottom, and a link to our customer success team down here at the bottom, who will be happy to kind of walk you through the integration process. Campaigns, a lot of people have confusion about our campaign feature, and it is one of our best features in TalentBin. So definitely going to be an important section to pay attention to if there's any sort of confusion maybe about the automated follow-up campaign, how to set it up. Maybe click over to our automated follow-up campaign article, take a look at how it works, that sort of thing. I'll skip templates, reporting, exporting profiles, valuable information in every one of those sections. But again, specific to those features, probably not something we need to spend a lot of time on today. Healthcare, so this is going to be entirely devoted to the healthcare vertical. I'm not sure if we have any healthcare recruiters on the line here today. If we do, you can find all the resources you need here under healthcare. We have another self-start video guide specifically about the healthcare vertical. Again, same layout as our technical self-start guide. So you'll be able to click into any one of those sections if you need some more information. But my colleague Luke, who's been kind of the manager of the healthcare vertical, has put together a lot of resources that are going to kind of help you get started. And our next webinar, in fact, is going to actually be about the healthcare vertical. So if there are any healthcare recruiters on the line, definitely stay tuned for that. Using Twitter, other contact vectors, probably don't need to talk about today. Advanced settings, probably can skip that. TalentBin mailbox, we only have one article right now. This is something we're going to keep building out in the future. This was a feature that we released last month. It's our iOS app, which actually allows you to send and receive messages on the go. It basically brings in the mailbox feature of TalentBin into your iPhone or iPad, so you can maybe send a candidate a message on the bus ride home, using templates, that sort of thing. And then troubleshooting down here at the bottom. Again, pretty self-explanatory. In case you have trouble logging into TalentBin, I would check the troubleshooting section before reaching out to our support team. You can click this article, unable to log into TalentBin. It gives you some kind of quick steps to resolve that issue. Something we see a lot is mailbox disabled. So if you change your password on your side of your email account, that's going to disable it in TalentBin. All you need to do is come into TalentBin and change that password, so you can get that information here. But troubleshooting should have information about any feature, any error that we see commonly in the feature. So that's all the topics that we'll cover today. Moving on, I'll go to our Q&A section down here at the bottom. So these are the questions that have been asked by users, and we can click into them. I can't log in, as you can see. Definitely a question we hear a lot. I'm not able to log in. How do I fix this? and then I came back with an answer for this person, and you can see the steps here and a link to that support article. So that just gives, again, the Q&A is going to be basically community sourced FAQ. What it allows you to do is you can see that other users have the same questions, and before maybe reaching out to your product specialist, come down here to the Q&A, see if your question has been asked already, and see the product specialist answer back to that question. I'm kind of in charge of those answers right now, so if you ask a question, I'll tend to get back to you within 24 hours with an answer, and that will be all publicly facing. Now, your next question might be, how do I ask those questions? So I'll go up here to TalentBin Q&A, again at the top of Contact Us. I'll hit that link, and this is where you're gonna type in your question, give it a subject line, pick a topic. So maybe if it's a login issue, go to troubleshooting in the topic, type in your name, email address. Email address is important because when I reply to your question, you'll get an email notification letting you know that that answer has been inputted. So definitely put your email address, subject, question, and then that will be submitted for me to take a look at. That essentially covers the support site. One last thing I'll just touch on really quickly, not to throw too much information at you, is this TalentBin blog, something we just started or just reinvigorated. It did exist back in the past. Our co-founder, Pete Kazanji, had a bunch of blog posts, but we've kind of retooled it. We'll throw in some TalentBin University articles, definitely going to be focused on best practices, that sort of thing. So maybe take the time, type in blog.talentbin.com, bookmark that page as well. But again, you can find that on our support site in the Contact Us field here. So that covers it. Thank you guys all for watching the video or attending the webinar. You can find all the resources you need here. This is our current customer success team. If you have any questions about this webinar, you can come to me or your product specialist. And I would definitely say maybe check out some of our past webinars on the site to get a little bit more information about some of the best practices here at TalentBin.